I truly do have empathy for everybody in Texas and what they're going through right now. I truly do. I have empathy for them because they're human beings. Do I feel sorry for all of them? No, I don't. And I'll explain why. This is going to be a long video. You're going to have to watch the rest of it on my YouTube channel. Click the YouTube link in my bio because I'm going to rant for a minute here about Texas. What's happening in Texas right now is basically if elections had consequences, were a state, right? What Texas Republicans did is they wanted to make themselves out to be the beacon of Republican lifestyle and show off and flex their rugged individualism on the world stage. So what they did was they completely privatized and deregulated their entire energy grid, right? They put it in the hands of private industry, and private industry is driven by profit motive. They just are. It's not a bad thing that private industry is driven by profit motive. Private industry is supposed to be driven by profit motive. Public service isn't, in my opinion. Okay? So, Texas's entire energy grid goes private. And when it goes private and it gets completely deregulated, no rules. They don't have to fucking follow any rules. They don't have to meet certain criteria, certain guidelines, certain minimums. Nope. No rules whatsoever. So, what happens? Private industry begins to cut corners. Just like you do at home when you're doing your own spending budget, right? We don't need all of those channels, is what my wife would say. So we're going to cut the cable bill down because we don't need HBO. And then one day something comes on HBO that you really want to see and you can't see it because you don't have it, right? So they cut the corners. Well, they did that in Texas. They said, well, it never gets cold in Texas. We're not going to bother buying the winterizing heating units for the solar wind turbine motors, which makes up 23% of Texas's energy. So they froze, and wind turbines couldn't produce energy. The remaining energy supplying sources, natural gas, shit like that, couldn't meet the demand. And the demand went through the roof because everybody stayed home and cranked up their fucking thermostat and was running their furnace non-fucking stop and needed the energy. Well, you now have, I can't meet all of the demand, married to the demand is through the roof, which is all being funneled through profit-driven private enterprise. What do you think fucking happened, folks? Pre-storm wholesale pricing for energy, electricity, from the private producers to the municipalities to sell it in wholesale mass to the customers, the people. Pre-storm, that was $50 per megawatt hour on average. The lowest in the couple of weeks leading up to it was $40 per megawatt hour. Post-surge, $9,000 per megawatt hour. They surged the price. So not only was there not enough to go around, what was going around, municipalities couldn't afford. End result, you get blacked out. What happens when you get blacked out and it's that fucking cold? Your pipes freeze, they burst, your house is now flooded. That's the trail. That's deregulation at its finest. You guys remember the fertilizer plant explosion in Texas? It happened in a town called West Texas. It was 2013. I think over a dozen people dead, over 160 buildings destroyed. Remember that? Completely deregulated. They could store fertilizer materials however they wanted to, wherever they wanted to. There were no rules. Explosion. Took out fucking damn near half a town. Same thing here, only on a state level. So, do I feel empathy for Texans who are sleeping in 20-degree weather and whose pipes have burst and whose houses are now destroyed and probably won't get reimbursed for that? I absolutely feel empathy for them because they're fellow human beings and no human being should have to live like that. Do I feel sorry for them? Not all of them. I feel sorry for the ones that didn't vote for the asshats that privatized their electric grid. The ones that did vote for the asshats who privatized their electric grid? No. You voted for this. You built this. This is what you asked for. These are the consequences to the votes you cast. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the fuck is going on in Texas right now. Thanks for stopping by the YouTube channel.